Hello everybody, this is Bitcoin Macro, and today I'm going to talk about several stuff, and this is going to be our new format. So it's not going to be a live stream, it's not going to be a long one, but it's going to be just me on my own talking about several things that I think are important today, maybe some stuff over the weekend, maybe last week, or just in general some analysis that I'm going to be making regarding stuff that I think are hot. Maybe it's an altcoin that just pumped, maybe an altcoin that is going to pump, but in general, I'm just going to try and bring you the hottest stuff. Whatever is great, whatever you need, maybe some bad news, maybe some good news, but in general, I'm going to try and prepare you for whatever is coming next. So it's not going to be very long, it's just going to be as long as I think it's needed. Probably it's going to be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'll try and not make it more than 20 minutes. Maybe sometimes it is, maybe this one is because it's the first one. So I've got more ground to cover from all the stuff that are going on right now. But in general, it's going to be on point. It's going to be a mix of TA and FA and, just news in general. And the first topic I'm going to cover today is going to be about Coinbase. But before I do that, I've got some stuff. First of all, subscribe and like, guys. Just like the video, just subscribe, watch all our videos. I'm just one of the guys in this channel. It's not even my channel, but I appreciate the opportunity of being here and making those videos for you, because I really like Fyros and I think we have a great collaboration. And I also like the guys from CryptoCube, which have made this happen, because they are the ones that introduced me to him, and that's why I can bring you good stuff. And I think that my analysis is quite different from the rest. Maybe some stuff are a bit hard, but hopefully you'll be able to follow me, and slowly you'll be able to understand more and more of what I say. But I don't want to treat you guys as children. Maybe some of the stuff is more advanced, but I think that just following guys that give you basic stuff is not going to be helpful. That's why I'm going to go a bit deeper. So I'm not going to treat you like children. I think that you will be able to learn slowly, although it might be kind of difficult at the beginning. And the second thing I'm going to say is that I'm a coach. I'm one of the coaches on CryptoCube, and you can come join our channel. You can come join my Telegram channel. You can join me on Twitter and just message me in general. Just leave your comments, what you want to hear, what you want to learn, and any feedback that you have for the videos that I am making. So let's go straight into the news and whatever I'm going to talk about today, because I have a lot of stuff to cover, so hopefully I'm going to keep it brief. First of all, Coinbase is going to do its IPO April 14th, and it's going to be quite big in my opinion, because this is the first company that's that large that's going to get on the US stock exchange. And that really matters because, again, guys, I've mentioned this several times, but we don't really have many companies or any actual products that really represent crypto. And this is the first one that is directly linked to crypto and actually has a yield. Yes, there are other companies like Square or PayPal and other companies as well, like Silvergate. But these are not just pure crypto companies that are making as much money as Coinbase is making. Like, we're talking about billions, guys. Like, Coinbase alone, I think the revenue was about 1.8 billion just the first quarter, and Coinbase right now is valued at 140 billion based on the pre-IPO futures, call them shares, whatever you want to call them, on FTX. And I'm going to chart those stuff as well. So I'm going to first go through the news and then go check the chart, so I don't go back and forth all the time. So there are several things that are happening right now, and the first one is that initially we might get a bit of a sell-off. Why? Because maybe some people sell the Coinbase shares to get into crypto, and some people sell the crypto to get into Coinbase. So selling is probably going to be the first thing that's happening. So there might be a bit of a dip, maybe it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event to an extent. Clearly not a massive one, but if you think about it, I can guarantee you that a lot of people, not all of them, are going to sell Coinbase shares to get into crypto. Clearly, some of them are going to keep them into other assets. Maybe they want to buy a house, maybe they want to do other stuff. But I can't see how some of them will not get that money and get into crypto. So think about it like this. We have the people that, the traditional investors, the big funds, who don't really have access. Okay, so it's not as easy for a big fund to buy Bitcoin compared to how easy it is for us. Plus, some funds want to buy companies. They don't want to buy a commodity or an asset directly. They want to hold something that has a yield. And Coinbase will have a yield, and it will have a pretty decent one. And it does have big prospects of growth as well. Like, that's a big thing. And the other thing is that it's the main one that's going to be out there. It's going to be the first one, and that's why it's going to have a bit of a premium. You know how Grayscale had a premium that turned into a discount? Potentially the same thing might happen with Coinbase until more companies start getting listed on the US stock exchange, and maybe until we get an ETF. Because it's going to be the main product that people can get to get exposure to crypto. And probably the best one. I'm not gonna lie, I've had my beef with Coinbase. There are so many things they've done wrong, but right now I just want to focus on what the impact is going to be on the market. And I think it's going to be positive, because if they start selling, yes, some people are going to sell crypto to buy Coinbase shares, but how many are they going to be? If you know what I mean. I think it's mostly going to be traditional investors that sell their assets to get into Coinbase, and that money afterwards is going to come from the Coinbase investors and employees, whoever has that stock, and get some crypto. Okay, because again, it's better to have that crypto than just have Coinbase shares. Maybe some of them just want to keep Coinbase, but if the valuation is pretty large compared to the crypto market cap, 140 billion just for one company is quite a bit. And I was just checking also the Binance related stuff, the exchange token stuff as well. And I think right now it's probably at maybe, let's say, 170 billion or 180 billion, the total capitalization of all exchange tokens. So, and that includes DEXs actually, like Uniswap, etc. So it's quite a bit. Like, if just one company is that large, that means that there is probably a bit of a premium at the moment. Clearly, those tokens don't represent company equity, and that's something that I'm going to discuss later on. But again, it's quite big. It could have an impact. I think it's going to have an impact. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. Maybe a bit of selling first and then pump. But overall, I think that we're going to go higher in the next few weeks. And I'm just going to see that on the charts later on as well. So again, you can read about all the stuff regarding Coinbase to see, and just make your own assessment. Just don't rely just on me, because again, what I said is just a bit of a speculation on my part. Now, when it comes to Binance, guys, we had some pretty big news today, and there's a lot I want to cover because it does connect with Coinbase, but it does go a bit of a step further as well. When it comes to Binance, BNB doesn't really represent anything specifically, okay? It's a token that has some use cases, but it just doesn't represent equity. It does have some characteristics like equity. Maybe it could become equity in the future, but it's not equity right now. Maybe it's because of legal stuff that they have to deal with, but maybe it's also because there is a difference between the stakeholders of the company and the actual token holders. There's quite a big difference there. So BNB alone is about 90 to 100 billion right now of USD, which is quite a bit. It's the third biggest asset, crypto asset out there, with Ethereum being at about 250 billion. So Binance is not just a company, and BNB is not just a simple token, because Binance can grow a lot, and BNB is also something that has to do with Binance Smart Chain. And yes, Binance Smart Chain and Binance are linked, but there are some differences there, because Binance Chain is not exactly a company. So I think it could, no matter how centralized it is, it could sort of run on its own, relying on BNB as well. And we just currently know that Binance Chain has about a third of the value locked that Ethereum has. Ethereum has about 60 billion. Binance Chain has 20 billion. So they are kind of similar in an extent, like the valuations are pretty similar, but The reason that why we've had such massive rallies on exchange tokens is one, I think the prior pumps that we had in February were sort of related mostly. Yes, there was a link to Coinbase, but it was just time. You know, newbies could relate, to the exchange tokens because they can understand that, okay, this is an exchange token, I'm trading on this exchange, maybe I buy it for fees to just get a discount, maybe to use it to do some sort of yield farming that they do on exchange, maybe to use it for the launch pad, just like several stuff in general. And I think that BNB has had most of the use cases. They created most of them, not all of them of course, but they've created a lot of value around BNB, which initially I kind of doubted. I was like, why do they need BNB? But slowly they did build a lot of stuff around it. Again, I don't agree with all of them. I don't think the valuation should be that high. I think there are dangers, because what happens if, let's say, they get sued by the SEC? What happens if something happens to the exchange? What if they print more money and all that stuff? But in general, I just feel like there's a lot of potential for growth. And the reason that I'm saying this, and for Coinbase as well, is that right now we look at most of these companies as crypto companies alone, but they're not just that. Okay, because crypto is going to eat the traditional finance space as well. If you pay attention, like we see that a lot of traditional companies are integrating with crypto, but they are lagging behind, and they are lagging severely. And we see crypto expanding on so many different things like gaming, art, banking, money. It's like you name it, like computing, file storage. It's like so many different things, and they're so early. And I have my disagreements as to whether the valuations of the tokens come from, why these tokens would be valuable, and all that stuff. But in general, in my opinion, there is a lot of room for growth and for crypto adoption. And right now we're seeing Coinbase with a move today to get Tesla stock on the exchange, and people can buy and trade Tesla on Binance. That's pretty big in my opinion, because we saw that with FTX, so they are not the first ones that are doing this. It's also trading on Bittrex. But what if all the traditional space that's moving on the blockchain and on crypto exchanges? Because Robinhood, for example, trades stocks, and they allow several crypto assets to trade on the platform. But here's the difference. It's much harder to integrate crypto than it is to integrate the traditional finance space. And the growth, and growth in general is increasing. A lot of that stuff is going to go on the blockchain. A lot of that stuff might not even need an exchange to trade on. But for now, this is where I think most of the growth is going to come, because you see all these new use cases arise all the time, and that's why I think BNB could keep on evolving, whereas Coinbase stock might be a bit more static. So where do we put BNB then? Because if it's at 100 billion valuation right now, and it's below the valuation of Coinbase, but it's slightly higher than its valuation versus Ethereum, let's say, if we just took the valuation from the value locked, potentially maybe even you can think of the inflation rate, which is much lower for Binance chain. Maybe it's non-existent actually, or it's actually deflationary. So how do we compare the two? How do we move, how to explain this valuation? So I think that maybe Binance chain, BNB, has some extra growth in terms of price. I'm going to show in the chart. But in general, we have to think about this more in the sense that there are endless opportunities here. So yes, short term the price might peak. Maybe if BNB gets on par with the Coinbase valuation, I don't really think that BNB can surpass Ethereum. So potentially I think that maybe BNB can grow by 150% for now. I don't think it can grow much more than that, but overall I think it's a decent bet in the short term if you're chasing momentum. Not a decent one, well, because it's already gone up a lot but in general, if you're thinking about it long term and in USD terms, then I think that yes, there is more growth, but just don't expect the same returns we saw previously. Next, I want Grayscale, okay? Because again, the ETF is going to come, and I've spoken about this before. I'm going to talk about it again. It is coming, and that's why I wouldn't really want to hold the Coinbase stock too long if you're buying it, because it's going to have a risk. Right now, buying GBTC is probably gonna get you buying Bitcoin with a discount. So if you can hold it long term, I think it's going to be a pretty good bet, because you're gonna buy Bitcoin cheaply, and then eventually the ETF is going to come. Because we've seen so many applications, more than 8 applications right now. So, and with a discount, I think the SEC really needs to get an ETF out, because people are going to be hurt. People are going to be selling at a discount, and that's hurting investors. We also have a big company out there, and a well-established one, doing its IPO. We have the Canadian ETFs. We have a Brazilian ETF as well. So I think they're running out of options. Plus there are 8 applications, guys. I think 7 maybe. I don't know. I've lost the count. But it's so many ETF applications that I think one of them is going to be approved. Potentially Grayscale was one of them. But regardless, if the ETF comes this year, if you're holding GBTC, eventually GBTC is going to be equal to 1 BTC. So you're going to be able to get your Bitcoin back, and essentially you are buying Bitcoin on a discount right now. But just remember, the discount could get steeper, especially as Coinbase does its IPO. Maybe the discount closes after the IPO. I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but just be careful if you just want to trade it short term. Again, when I mentioned traditional banks adding crypto, it has been happening, and I think it's going to keep expanding. It's also another catalyst for an ETF, because if banks are getting into Bitcoin, I think an ETF is coming. Like, it's no doubt. But also we are seeing again what I said about PayPal and Square. Revolut is adding cryptocurrencies on its trading offerings, and I think we're gonna see more of them. It's not gonna back down, guys. We're gonna see more and more of these things. So there's gonna be a bit of a merging and competition between traditional finance firms trying to get into crypto, and crypto firms eating the entire traditional finance space alive. And I think the crypto companies are going to win. Now, next, I want to mention something about Stellar, because guys, remember that all these things, if you see anything bad happening to a project, I think you shouldn't care really, because there's good, like, these things are centralized. They're gonna get fixed though. Stellar had a problem with its nodes. There was a lot of stuff happening there. The network kind of went down essentially, and they just fix it easily. And that's why don't panic, don't sell if something like that happens. I'm quite surprised that Stellar hasn't been sued like XRP, and that's the next topic I'm going to talk about, XRP, because it's the same, essentially the same founder, the same guy that created the XRP token. Jed McCaleb has created Stellar, and they have a very similar way of functioning. So I don't know how bad things went with the CEO and in general the founders of XRP, but it's just overall, it's so weird that this guy Jed McCaleb has escaped and Stellar is still around, really. So next one, XRP has been pumping, as many of you have seen. I don't know if I would run to buy XRP right now. I don't think it's, like I said in one of my previous live streams, having some XRP like an option is not bad. Like, you know, you just put a small amount in it, you consider it lost. If things go well with the SEC, potentially that could pump hard, but also because the price had gone up so low, it would be very easy for it to pump. Essentially, all the longs got destroyed, all the holders were in deep pain, and that's why I think it probably has It might have some room to the upside. I'm not sure about it. I don't want to tell people to buy XRP, okay? I'm just talking about in general because it's been on the news. I've seen this thing, and there are lots of people that are trying to explain why. And for example, the company, the XRP, which is holding tons of XRP, because they are the ones that have the locked XRP that is on the escrow. That worth is around 70 billion, guys, but the valuation of the company is around 2 to 3 billion right now, trading on secondary markets. And that's potentially because they are assuming that yes, XRP might keep on functioning in some sort of way because of all the bag holders out there, all the people that keep support XRP. So yes, it might keep on functioning, but the company might be dead. So people still assume XRP is decentralized. I think that's nonsense. I don't even know what these people are thinking. But hey, again, the market is not really relying on real fundamentals, guys. The market is following certain themes that I'm going to talk about in the next video. Maybe coins that are low Satoshi are popping. Maybe stuff that are on Korean exchanges, exchange tokens, file storage tokens, NFTs, DeFi. It all comes into like different timing, and it just random pumps here and there. Maybe there is a bit of a sequence, clearly. Maybe now it's like KuCoin stuff are pumping, exchange tokens are pumping again. So again, it's just like a bit of a rotation, a constant rotation of different themes. And potentially XRP might be just one of them. Like, you know, it's just something that XRP has had that loyal following. So potentially that could go much higher from here. I don't want to say that, you know, you should hold XRP, but just like having a tiny amount and just let it there in case XRP goes really high because they win the case with the SEC. Again, I'm not saying that they will win, but there is a bit of a chance. In my opinion, they shouldn't win. And it doesn't come down to decentralization or not. It comes down to them actually being a real fraud. So I think there should be some justice there. Again, they have done some stuff, guys. They are trying to fight them, and they actually said that it won. I don't think they won exactly, but they have actually managed to get the lawyers of the SEC to not show where they spend the money. Clearly, they've done lots of bad things. I don't know how they're gonna get out of that hole. Maybe they bribe the right people. I don't know. It is possible. But I do think they've done so many things wrong that they should be punished. And finally, Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been going sideways for a really long time, guys. The volatility has been going down. Essentially, that's kind of what the Bollinger bandwidth is telling us. Volatility keeps going down and down after it had pumped really hard. And this consolidation will eventually break in either direction. So I'm not saying just follow this article directly and just go like it's gonna go up or down, but I think it's time for some volatility because Bitcoin has been going sideways for about 2 months now. Okay, like we made a high on February, reached a local top on Feb 15th. That was around 58,000. And now we're at 60,000 2 months later. So it's time. Coinbase could be the catalyst, maybe initially move down and then move up. So let's go straight into the charts and see what's going on. So first chart, BNB, weekly chart. On the previous live stream, I had talked about this turning into support, this turning into nice support, consolidation and big pump. This move in terms of in a nominal terms, I think it's larger than this one potentially. Actually, this one is actually larger than this one in nominal terms, but I think in percentage terms, clearly this is larger. But look at how nicely BNB came off this kind of sideways movement. It hadn't really gone anywhere, and that pump came when Bitcoin was really low. It was around 3,000-4,000, but it still held, it still turned to support. After it had a full cycle, it came back to this place, pumped, and look, it still looks strong. I can't say that it's gonna turn bad right now. Maybe it has 1 or 2 more days, Coinbase IPO, and then everything goes down. So not sure yet. And let's check the Coinbase IPO, the pre-listing price. That's actually about 170% up, because this wasn't really the actual price. So let's see from here, from the end of 2020, Coinbase has gone up about 170%, and it still looks bullish. I think it could go higher, but again, this is a very illiquid market. This is something not many people are trading, and I don't think that you should be trading really, except if you really wanted to, like if you had an FTX account that's verified and you just wanted to put some money in here. Maybe, well, it has performed better than Bitcoin since March, but other than that, I can't really see anything that special about getting Coinbase at that valuation. It's like buying 15% of Bitcoin. Like, that's how big Coinbase is right now. It's like if Bitcoin is at maybe, let's say 1 trillion, it's a bit larger. So it's probably buying 10% of the Bitcoin supply. It is a bit insane, to be honest. So the valuation is a bit crazy. So yeah, long term, this valuation for Coinbase is not that great. But again, the market doesn't really, it's not really rational initially. Now for GBTC, if you look at this, it's down about 7.5% from the February highs. But again, like I said, the February highs were about 58,000, whereas Bitcoin right now is at 60,000. So the discount for Grayscale is more than 10%. It's about 10%. But again, if you look at this, that looks bullish. I think Bitcoin is going to go higher as well. Not much to talk about on this chart. Again, it's cheap in my opinion, and I think we're gonna go higher. Finally, I'm just gonna end with some stuff regarding Bitcoin and alt as well. So for Bitcoin, the only thing I want to talk about are these things right here. Potentially have this gap, maybe these double bottoms could get broken and have a clean break of those. Potentially fill this low right here, because again, we haven't even really pierced into the gap. So potentially Bitcoin could fall with the Coinbase IPO. Maybe we could have a bit of a strong move down and then up. Okay, maybe we break the 50-day moving average. Maybe we break some key support levels to scare people and then go higher. Because if you look at this right here, I'm just gonna put this on the 2 hour. We just had this thing here, this SFP had this double top, clean break above, quickly broke down below. This resistance was retested and held below, and that's not a great sign. Usually that leads a bit lower, but overall I think the situation is quite bullish. Okay, because look, I've never seen Bitcoin top like this, and I've never seen Bitcoin top with low volatility. I've never seen that thing. And again, there is a chance of it going lower, but I think it's more likely that it's going to go higher. Now the big question is it going to be altcoins that do very well, or is it going to be Bitcoin that does very well? And that I can't really answer yet, because in my opinion, alt seasons last for about 3.5 months. That's the maximum. At least that's exactly how long the summer alt season was, and we're about to complete 3.5 months of alt season. So yeah, I don't really know. Like, this looks quite bullish, but this move has been quite overextended. Essentially, this is not a DeFi index. This is just a little index that I created to sort of represent the altcoin market cap, and I think that it has worked fairly well for me. Bitcoin broke those highs. The Bitcoin dominance actually showed that we broke that a few days prior, but it just worked very well for me. Like it's a simple combination, but look at this. Initially, the previous resistance, the old resistance, turned into resistance. Once we broke above and it was retested, it turned into support again, and boom, higher. Same thing here. We had resistance all the way through here. Once we broke above, boom, higher. And yes, this is getting a bit overextended right now. I don't know for how long this is going to last. In my opinion, altcoins have a lot more to go, but at some point, I think things are going to reverse, and not reverse in the sense of going down in the USD terms, but it's going to come to a point where Bitcoin outperforms. Maybe that comes now, or it will come in about 2.5 months. I think it will either come soon, or it will probably come at the end of the summer. Or excuse me, not the end of the summer, end of June. Because usually, like the previous time that we were at this similar stage where we had an alt season after Bitcoin broke the all-time highs, it lasted for about 6 months. Not exactly, but I think, these cycles will keep on playing out. So we initially have Bitcoin pumping, then we have altcoins pumping, then we have Bitcoin pumping, then we have altcoins pumping, then we have Bitcoin pumping, then altcoin pump, and then everything goes down. I think that's going to be the sequence again, at least to an extent. That's what I think is going to happen. So just be prepared. I'm not saying that you should be all in on Bitcoin or all in on altcoins, but just know that we had a pretty big move. Clearly, lots of alts have corrected because of the Binance situation, maybe XRP as well. So some large cap coins have been pumping recently and have been a drag on the smaller stuff, because again, clearly newbies get on the bigger stuff, the ones that they see near the top, the stuff that they understand the most, the stuff that they heard the most. So I don't think it would be crazy that we see some of these things correct at some point, because we've had like these little corrections over time, and I think we might get another one fairly soon. Maybe that one is a bit larger, especially if Bitcoin goes high, because alts thrive when Bitcoin volatility is low. But when Bitcoin volatility starts picking up, that's when alts start having a problem. And it has more to do, doesn't mean that high Bitcoin volatility is bad for alts, but what's bad is Bitcoin volatility being high and going higher. That's what kills altcoins, because most people are trading Bitcoin and not alts. Also, they take less risk. So usually because alts are more risky, they get out. And that's why I said, with me, you will be able to understand a lot more stuff in depth. So I apologize for this one being a bit longer. I needed to make this a bit of a setup for what will come over the week, because I want to be making shorter videos, but I needed this to form a bit of a basis, because I hadn't really covered a lot of these things from the previous videos. Of course, I didn't really cover much from last week. There weren't that many things to cover anyways, but it was just, I tried to keep it as simple as possible. If you have any questions, either message me on Twitter. You can find my email on my Twitter profile. You can come on the videos and comment, and I'll try and respond. Again, please like, subscribe, leave your comments, give us a follow on CryptoCube. Come join our trading view, and you can ask any questions you want. In general, I love answering questions. I love interacting with people, because I learn from the questions people ask me, because I think of things more deeply. And again, I'm happy to be here, and thanks the Decentralized channel for giving me that opportunity. Thanks.